Hi, my name is Udi Kumra, and welcome back to Udi History. So 11 months ago, I started this series about the Industrial Revolution. And then I fell into that YouTube trap of not doing what I said I was going to do and finish that 4-part series. But now I'm going to finish the series. So today we're going to talk about the Industrial Revolution's major features and impacts. So the Industrial Revolution saw the quick advancement in science and technology in areas like production, energy, transportation, and communication. But it also saw a lot of non-industrial changes in areas like agriculture, economics, politics, and so much more. Actually, there were way more non-industrial changes than there were industrial ones, which you're gonna see today. But we got a lot to get through today, so let's get started. So we're going to talk about two different types of impacts and features on the Industrial Revolution. One of these are industrial things in areas like energy and transportation and communication. And then one of these are non-industrial things like social life and politics and economics. We're going to have a list of 5 industrial ones and a list of 11 non-industrial ones. But keep in mind that even though we're talking about 5 industrial impacts and 11 non-industrial impacts, this still does not form nearly a comprehensive list of every impact and feature of the Industrial Revolution. These are just the ones that I feel are most important. So with that said, let's jump into the 5 major industrial features and impacts of the Industrial Revolution. 1. Industry used and produced new basic materials. Whereas before, the basic materials were always easy to access and use, like wood, the new materials, primarily iron and steel, were a lot harder to access and use for people without the money to get them. But they were far more durable and maneuverable with new industrial technology. 2. There were new energy sources in both fuels and motive power, with motive power being the thing that turns the fuels into energy. We've already talked about one of these last time, the steam engine. Another engine, the internal combustion engine, was far more powerful than the steam engine and is the one used in cars and planes today. There were also 2 main sources of fuel: coal and oil. Coal was used a lot more early on in the Industrial Revolution because people had known about it for centuries and there was a ton of it in Britain. While oil was used a lot more later because it provided a lot more energy than coal and required a lot of infrastructure to be able to drill it out. 3. There were new machines invented like the spinning jenny and the power loom, all of which helped to increase production. 4. There were important developments in transportation and communication technology. These included, but were not limited to, the steam locomotive, the steamship, the automobile, the airplane, the telegraph, the radio, and the telephone. 5. There was an increasing application of science to industry. Whereas before science was used significantly more for warfare and medicine and other such fields, now it was used a lot more in producing more. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Every moment that you live, every moment that you breathe, your life is dominated by the effects of the Industrial Revolution. So like I said before, this list of non-industrial impacts and features of the Industrial Revolution is nowhere near the comprehensive list of everything that happened, because that list is infinite, and we also don't know everything about it because the Industrial Revolution is kind of still happening. So we're just going to talk about 11 of them. That's still a lot, but it's not everything. 1. Agricultural improvements increased the amount of surplus food that was available. This also led to increased industrial production as the demand for farmers went down and the demand for workers went up, but it also led to more population growth, which also increased industrial production. 2. There was a wider and deeply unequal distribution of wealth, as those who were wealthy enough to get their hands on the means of production paid those who worked for them very poor wages. 3. There was a decline of land as a source of wealth, as less land was needed to feed the masses and the economy began to grow around producing tradable goods. This was, in fact, the last step to dismantling the feudal system that had lasted since the Middle Ages. 4. There were many changes in politics that reflected a shift in economic power and corresponded to the needs of an industrializing society. These included policies that benefited corporations, such as union busting and strike crackdowns, but also policies that benefited workers, such as antitrust acts, child labor laws, and workers' rights laws. 5. There were huge and consequential social changes like the growth of cities, the development of the working class and their labor movements, and new social structures and patterns of authority. 6. There was a new organization of work in a system that's sometimes known as the factory system. This led to an increased division of labor and specialization of function that made production even more efficient. 7. There was a huge cultural transformation as society became more disciplined and regulated thanks to the factory system and later railroad timetables. Additionally, society overall became more concerned with efficiency and effectiveness. 8. There was a weakening of the patriarchy. As women worked and got involved in labor movements alongside men, and as employers realized that they could employ women and effectively double their production, women began to receive increasing value in society. One of the most famous examples of this from US history history is with the case of the Lowell Mills, where girls were employed from these small towns in Massachusetts and brought to the Lowell Mills. Now, to be fair, in the Lowell Mills, there were lots of regulations to make sure that women maintain their cult of domesticity setting and they could be prepared to move back into motherhood. But despite that, these women became empowered and over the course of the next century would begin to fight for their rights. 9. There were improvements in medicine, both in the prevention of diseases and in the curing of them. As we'll see in the next 2 episodes of this series, this was initially a response to the poor health condition in European cities and had the desired effect of making society healthier and safer for everyone. 10. There was the emergence of the modern capitalist economy. Whereas before this time, the means of production were owned by the government or by guilds, now the means of production was owned by individuals. And last but not least, the 11th effect was psychological. As we slowly managed to bend nature to our will through our use of machines, energy, medicine, and food, we were able to increase our confidence in controlling the world around us. There was also this new feeling in the air. The threat to be destroyed by nature was fading away. René Descartes spoke for everyone in the future when he said that we might become, quote, like masters and possessors of nature. Of course, as I said twice in this video already, these are nowhere near all the effects of the Industrial Revolution, but there are a lot of them, and they are the ones that I feel are the most important for us to understand. Thank you for watching this episode of Udi History. Now go out there and make history.